In the next edition of It's About Money, my guests are Linda and Bob Dobberstein, and we're talking about their inn, the 1810 Abner Adams House Bed and Breakfast. Stay tuned for the next edition of It's About Money. Welcome to another edition of It's About Money. I'm Nannette Nocon, and thank you for joining us. We have an exciting program today. Our guests are Bob and Linda Duberstein, and we are going to talk about their 1810 Abner Adams House Bed and Breakfast. It sounds wonderful and looks wonderful on the website. When did you decide to want to be innkeepers?
Well, this goes back around 2004, 2005, just prior to my retiring from teaching. We opened the bed and breakfast in 2006, and we looked around for about a year, looked for bed and breakfasts that were for sale, looked at other properties, and we basically decided that once we retired, we didn't want to sit around doing nothing or waking up in the morning wondering what we're going to do that day. So the bed and breakfast ordeal kind of fit the bill that was going to keep us busy, and it certainly has.
Oh, that's great. So when you were looking, did the square footage, number of rooms, did all of that matter when you were searching for a place?
It did, because we knew that we wanted a property that was maintainable for us. We didn't want to have to hire help. We wanted to be able to do it ourselves, so we didn't want a 10-room inn. We wanted something small, so we have 3 rooms that we could just keep up ourselves, keep busy, and still have fun.
Oh, that's great. It's nice to envision that, to know what you want, because otherwise you could be a slave to the bed and breakfast. Now, did you have to renovate the property to prepare it for opening the doors?
We did. We made some adjustments. We did renovate a couple of bathrooms. We moved a couple of small walls, not anything major. Altered some doors, but we were very fortunate. When we found this property, the owners before us just did phenomenal things with this piece of property. We had seen others that were money pits. We would have been wasting our lives trying to update and upgrade the properties, but the property sold itself, so we really didn't have to do a tremendous amount of work.
And it wasn't a bed and breakfast when we bought it. It was a single-family home, and we walked in and saw the potential of how we could add a bathroom, move the walls, and make it into a nice guest house.
Oh, that's great. I just wondered how that was. So, okay, but the bathrooms, the powder rooms were important to add to each of the rooms.
Oh, it's very important that you have private baths.
Okay. Now, when you were looking at the property and looking at what kind of changes, renovations you had to do, what was the percentage of the cost of renovations in comparison to the purchase price of the property? Did you have to put in a lot?
Percentage-wise, around
15%. And that's just for structural changes to the property to convert it to a bed and breakfast. That doesn't include all the supplies, the sheets, the linens, the towels, and all that kind of additional costs that we incurred, but about 15%.
Okay. Would you say that that's reasonable?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have a range.
Because the property was in really great shape, so it was just a matter of adding the bathroom and gutting the other bathroom and moving a little walls around.
So having some experience in doing some renovations is probably helpful, right? You don't want to make this your first project.
Right. Exactly.
Now, do you live in the property?
Yes, we do. It's our primary home.
Is that the case for most innkeepers? Do they actually live in the property?
It varies. Yeah. One nice thing about the Abner Adams house is our living area is completely separate in the back side of the bed and breakfast. So once our guests come, we introduce them to the bed and breakfast. They have their living quarters. We have our living quarters. Other B&Bs have similar arrangements, but there are some B&Bs where the owner does live off property.
I see.
So it varies.
Okay, and then I take it that there's some who hire people to be the innkeeper for the property.
Some of the larger ones. Yeah.
Okay, so it's really by the size of the property, because then financially it would be hard to justify hiring someone.
For our 3 rooms, yes.
Yes,
it wouldn't make any sense.
Difficult. So, without having to disclose profitability, do you think that it's sustainable to hire someone? I mean, or is it just really
again? I think it would be based on the size of the property. If if you have a 10-room or more inn where you're generating that income, yes. But for 3 rooms, and that's why we chose to have 3 rooms, because we wanted to be able to do it all by ourselves.
I see. Okay. Now, from the time you were thinking about it, was 2 years from the time you thought about running a bed and breakfast, the time you purchased it. From the time you purchased, the time you opened the doors, how long did that take?
Roughly, we were fortunate, about 6 months.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
because the renovations were not that extensive. So we pushed, though. We really did.
And now, do you also have to get zoning changes, I imagine, from residential to?
Yes, actually, when we looked at the property, we put it into the part of the contract to purchase it that we needed the approval from the town and the village and all the permits before we would buy it, because we knew it's a huge property and we didn't want it for the two of us. We knew we wanted it to be a bed and breakfast. So before we even bought it, we went in front of the town and got our permits.
I see. Well, that makes sense, because then you don't want to be stuck with the house that you intended to be a bed and breakfast, and there were some hurdles with regard to doing that.
Each town have different guidelines too, and it's also, the guidelines are based on the size of the inn itself. If we had 10 rooms, then we'd have to follow other zoning regulations that we didn't have to do with 3 rooms.
Ah, I see. Okay, so that made a difference, because then it's not. Is there like a time where a number of size of rooms that make it different, or?
Yes, 5 and above.
Five and above.
All the rules change.
I see. Oh, okay, so it's smart to keep it at 3. That's great. That's great. Now, you said that before retirement, you were thinking about having something else to do. I mean, there's a lot of different choices, but what made you decide to go into running a bed and breakfast, owning one and running one?
Well, we enjoy. You have to enjoy working with people.
Sure,
okay?
of course. You don't want to be a loner and have all these people at your...
No, and you have to want to be busy.
Kept us busy, a source of income, and dealing with people. And
we've always worked very well together. We've been married almost 35 years, and we knew we wanted to retire and do something together. We didn't want to work for someone else and have to ask for a week off here and there, a week off there. And we wanted to be able to work together, enjoy ourselves, enjoy our retirement, and have fun.
Oh, that's great.
one other bonus, I guess, is being a teacher. We were always locked into education holidays. Always paying the prime airfare, and the trips cost the most because everybody was taking vacations during those prime times.
Sure.
And now, although we're busy in the summer, we don't take many summer vacations anymore. We can choose when we want to go somewhere, close down and take a vacation during non-school holiday periods.
And get better deals,
Right.
I see what you mean. Now, what kind of research did you have to put into knowing that this is what you wanted to do and what you wanted to buy? I mean, there's the internet, gives you a lot of information, but did you take courses? How did you come to a conclusion that this is what you're going to do?
We did take one aspiring innkeeper class, and we had looked at a lot of different properties, and we'd stayed at a lot of different bed and breakfasts, and we knew what we didn't want. So it made it very easy to find something we did want. So as soon as we walked into places, we'd look around and say, oh no, this is not what I want. I want my own private living area. I want private bathrooms for everyone. And we did research by going places and what we liked.
Sure, okay. And then just having stayed at
Many
many bed and breakfasts, you kind of knew what was nice and what wasn't nice as a guest and possibly as an owner. Well, that's great. I guess nothing better than having the experience and going through all of that, you know. So, would you say that you're enjoying the?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I know you do.
We made a really good decision in doing this. We're very happy. We're very happy. And when we decided, we just jumped right in and did it. It wasn't like, well, it didn't take long. We just decided we were going to do it, and we did. And it was a huge learning curve. A huge learning curve. It's not just about greeting people at the door and putting breakfast on the table. It's all about marketing and networking and getting people to find you. And
great. And actually, I want to talk about that second part of the program. But how do the guests know that you are a bed and breakfast? I mean, how do if I wanted to stay at a bed and breakfast, how do I know? How do I find you?
Internet. The internet is huge. You have to have a huge presence, a great website, and market and network.
I see. I see.
We're also affiliated with bed and breakfasts. How would you put
Organizations, you know, the large Finger Lakes Bed and Breakfast, Rochester Bed and Breakfast, you know, things that people might Google to find us.
Okay. And now, would you say that your place is a destination because there's you're near a ski resort, right? Near Bristol. So is that usually why people would choose to stay at your place, or what would be the reasons?
We really haven't seen a lot of skiers over the past 5 years. A few. The wineries tend to be a tremendous draw. We drawn many people coming to Canandaigua and from Rochester. We ourselves, I think, we've become a destination in itself because we've had guests that have returned to us as many as 3, 4, or 5 times.
How wonderful.
So
that's great.
Our location is centrally located between Rochester, between Canandaigua, all the wine trails and the Finger Lakes. So that's helped us tremendously.
Sure, it's a convenient getaway. You know, it's not that far, but then it's also it's away. You know,
Right.
And we're in a very small, quiet little village, and not on a main street in the city. And a lot of our guests really like that.
And what village is the 1810 Abner Adams House Bed and Breakfast located?
Village of Bloomfield.
Bloomfield. Okay, yeah, Bloomfield, New York. And are there times in the year that your inn is busier than others?
Definitely in the summer. June starts to pick up right through October. August has been, for the first 3 or 4 years, our peak month, but last year, October exceeded that.
Oh.
But our occupancy during that time period runs between 60 and 70%.
I see.
And that's for the first 5 years, and hopefully that's going to grow beyond that.
That's great. That's wonderful. I'm so excited for you that you know you have this wonderful place to run and live and enjoy retirement. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll talk about the marketing and all the other things that you do that makes the bed and breakfast special. So we'll be right back. It's about money, and my guests are Bob and Linda Duberstein.
Things can come and go quickly these days, but one thing has been sure and steady, and if you haven't noticed, it's been on the air for over 10 years now. Nannette Nocon has been a Rochester Public Access television fixture. With her highly accredited financial background, viewers are sure to learn some tips of the trade. Her show, It's About Money, has been educating, informing, entertaining, and inspiring viewers since 1996. She and her guests have been giving valuable advice on how to invest, spend, and save your hard-earned money. And who's not interested in money? So tune into your public access station for a new monthly episode of It's About Money for Rochester's finest in finance.
And we're back. I'm Nannette Nocon. It's about money, and I'm talking with Bob and Linda Dobberstein, and we are talking about their inn, the Abner Adams House Bed and Breakfast. Thanks again for being here.
Well, thank you for asking us.
So tell me about your role at the bed and breakfast. I mean, you can't be running over each other's tasks and things like that. So what is your role?
What is my role? Well, let's see, the butler, the concierge, the gardener, the dishwasher, short order cook, etc.
That's great. That's great. And you seem to like it. So you're smiling as you're saying all that.
There are days.
That's great. And what is your role, Linda?
You know, it's funny how we settled into these roles for who does what, when, and where, and why. You know, it just kind of happened. I'm the main marketing person. I'm the one that's developed the website and does the social media, although he's very good on Facebook. And then the chief cook and the chief cleaner on the inside and that kind of thing. So he does a lot of the outside stuff. And we're both very active with the guests. We're both very involved when they come in.
That's great. I can see you both doing that. Now, who decorated the inn? Who did that?
It was in great shape and very well decorated when we bought it. So a lot of what was there, we've left and tried to work around, and then I did the rest of the rooms the ones that we totally gutted. I did those.
I see. Well, very nice. It's nice that you don't have to do a lot of major things, like you said. You know.
Right. And
There's always maintenance along the way, painting and repairs.
Yeah, those kinds of things. But when we were decorating the inn, one of the main things that we decided to do is that we wanted to make our bathrooms special. Because people go away, they want something a little better than what they have at home. They're looking for something different. So two of our rooms have hot air champagne massage bubble tubs in them. I don't know if you've ever heard
know what that
of
is. That sounds luxurious.
They are. They're like a jacuzzi, except that they don't have the hot water blowing in at you. They blow hot air at you, so it's like sitting in a bottle of champagne. And we provide bubble bath, and they bubble away, and they're very nice. Great, fancy tubs.
And how did you know about that? How do you know about?
You know,
I don't even.
We just ran across it when we were looking for things when we were renovating. You know, it was just a new age jacuzzi. And after you get out of them, they turn themselves back on again and blow all the water out of the little air holes, and they're just nice and clean and sanitary, and they're great. They're fun. They're fun. We cater mainly to couples. That's our target market.
I see.
You know, and you're talking about marketing. Our target market is couples and romantic nights away and getaways, and because it's quiet and peaceful and beautiful.
Very nice.
And those subs are in the two smaller rooms with queen beds, and the large room that's got a king-size brass bed has a steam walk-in shower. It's like a sauna.
Oh, my goodness.
A little bit more out of the ordinary.
So your repeat guests, do they request a room that they have a favorite room, or do they want to try out the different rooms?
That's fun. We've talked to guests about this. Some of them will request a certain room back all the time, and if they can't get that room, they don't want to stay that particular night.
I see.
Or some guests will stay in one room. They'll stay in what is called Nana's Nook. The next night they return, another occasion, they'll want to stay in Grandma's Garden.
Okay.
And then if they return again, there's always that third room to try out. Go to Ellie's Escape. That's the
so those are the 3 rooms. So Ellie's
Yeah.
Escape.
Grandma's Garden and Nana's Nook.
Oh, nice. And how did you come up with the names?
They're named after my mother and his mother and my cousin.
Oh, how nice. Oh, that makes it
Special women in our lives. We
Yeah.
wanted to keep them with us.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Now, in terms of doing the social media, I mean, social media is new, so you had to teach yourself how to do that, or?
Well, when we first opened, it was fine to just put a website out there and make sure you had a lot of good, really strong links and good information on your site, and that seemed to be okay. But with social media that's changed in the last couple of years, you have to have a blog, you have to be on Facebook, you have to be on Twitter, you have to join LinkedIn. You really need to market yourself and communicate with other people.
I see.
It's huge.
Yeah, because like you said, most people are looking for places to stay or get away through the internet. And
TripAdvisor and
TripAdvisor.
comments, just guests to leave positive comments about their stay with you. Everybody walks in the door and says, oh, I read every single one of your reviews and they were wonderful, that's why I'm here. Yeah. And you have to work for those. I mean, you do. You have to be nice to your guests so that they say nice things, you know. And we love what we're doing, and I think it shows in our guest reviews because they're happy when they come and they're happy.
Yeah, beautiful.
To meet us. We've made a lot of good friends. You know, people. You know, they arrive as strangers and leave as friends.
Oh yeah, that's very nice. That's wonderful. So February 2011, you won an award. So tell us about that.
We are, again, with marketing, we're members of a lot of bed and breakfast groups. And one of the groups had a contest where you had to submit a photo of your guest living room. And we won the Coziest Living Room award.
Congratulations.
It's very exciting.
That's very nice. So it's one more tag that you could put on
your... Yeah, we have a little banner we can put on our website. And we have a great guest living room. It's the original kitchen in the home from 1810, and it's got the original beehive fireplace in it, and it's just very cozy, and it is very nice.
Yeah, that's great. Now, who is Abner Adams?
Okay. Excuse me. He's the son of Deacon John Adams. Deacon led his family, and 2 families actually, from Massachusetts back in 1789 is actually when Bloomfield was settled. Deacon John settled Bloomfield, which happens to be the same year that Canandaigua was settled. And Abner was his son. And Abner built the house in around 1810. It's all brick. It's a brick federal style house. The bricks were actually made in Bloomfield by some French contractors back in the early 1800s. So it's history that precedes Rochester, actually, because Nathaniel Rochester once lived in a house on Route 5 and 20 down in Bloomfield before he went to settle up in Rochester, what is now known as the city of Rochester.
I see. How interesting. So it has a long history. I wonder if there's any relation to John Adams.
We're trying to find that.
Yeah.
We have a large history, but we haven't been able to make that connection.
Yeah.
We have a genealogy that we kind of inherited from some friends of Abner Adams' family, going back to Deacon John. And actually a friend of ours, his relatives are in this genealogy, which was very interesting. We just learned that.
Oh my goodness.
And I've tried to go back and trace back to the presidents and where they came from in Massachusetts and when they were born, and if there was any crossing of the Adams families there, and have not made a connection yet.
I see. Well, that'd be neat. That's kind of a nice historical research that you could do along the way too. That's great. Now, what have you learned about, you said that every day is a new experience, and what have you learned in running an inn that is like, oh gee, I wish I'd known that before, or anything that's interesting? So our audience are, viewing our program, just trying to...
I think one of the things that we underestimated was the amount of work, the physical labor involved. I mean, we knew it would be a lot of work with cleaning and that, but just the physical labor involved in running a house this large and the property that's this big was a little bit of a surprise. And we've learned that you got to expect the unexpected, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
So what are some unexpected things in running a bed and breakfast?
Well, like you have to smile when they come down the stairs and say, I just dumped a bottle of red wine on your antique comforter.
Oh!
Yes, you know, and things
We could go into other stories.
like 3 o'clock in the
Right.
morning hearing the doorbell ring because the guest lost their key.
I see.
Oh, actually they got in the house, but they lost the key to the room. So,
I see. Okay.
so
Got
you know, and anticipating their needs, you know, and I find one of the hardest things is breakfast, surprisingly enough, is that we ask very, very many questions when people reserve a room as to food allergies and dietary restrictions and what can't you have and what don't you like, so that we're sure we give them a wonderful meal. And for some reason, they always forget to tell you something.
And it's in the breakfast.
Yeah, and then I'll go through, do you eat eggs, nuts, wheat, milk? Uh-huh. And you put it on the table in the morning. Oh, is that a nut?
Oh.
I forgot to tell you. You know, and it's very difficult because I want to make everybody happy and please everyone. And, you know, anticipating things like that and having a plan B ready so that you can give them something else.
I see, I see. So you always have to have your kitchen stocked with different varieties
Right.
and stuff like
Right,
that.
yes.
So, no, most inns, bed and breakfast, of course, offer breakfast because that's what a bed and breakfast
Right.
is. So then, do you have a theme that you use for making, you know, the recipes for the breakfasts, or just have a variety, or?
Just a variety. We try and alter between sweet one morning and savory the next morning. And I always have fresh pastries, baked pastries out, and juice and coffee when they come down in the morning. And then we do a fruit course, and then your main course with a meat on the side.
I see. Wow,
It's a full breakfast.
Right. it's
No one
really
leaves
brunch.
hungry.
I guess not.
No one leaves hungry.
I guess not. And so then, how much property do you have? What's like the acreage?
3.5 acres.
3.5.
We have a large sprawling front yard that goes from, actually, which is Main Street, up to the house, up on a hill. And we set up on a ridge, basically, in the middle of the village. And in the 3.5 acres, we have actually about an acre of woods with nature trails in it. And in the summertime, we have benches out there, and guests like to, particularly our guests who go on the wine trails, will come back with a bottle of wine and take the bottle of wine, a couple of glasses, sit on the bench and sit out in the woods, in the nature trails, and just enjoy the birds and the trees and enjoy their wine.
That's great. That's fantastic. It sounds so. I have such a wonderful picture. I've seen the pictures on the website, but have to make it out there.
You have to come see us. You do
That's
have to
great.
come see us.
So then, how do you invite? Do you also work with your guests in terms of trying to get the word of mouth out to their friends? Have you had much success with that, or is it really the internet that's the primary way of getting other guests?
No, we have had a lot of guests that'll send their friends. They'll say, oh, you just have to go stay there, and their friends will come. Yeah,
I
word of
see.
mouth is still great.
Yeah.
It's still
And
great.
we haven't had to work to have them do that. They've just done it on their own. So that's nice.
Oh, sure, of course. That's excellent. That's excellent. And then, do you have like ongoing plans in terms of doing something different, or do you feel like you're in a position where this is how we want it to be, and it's a matter of just marketing it and getting people to continue to come?
Well, we have a little difference of opinion on that. Because we have the capabilities of expanding and adding another bathroom and opening up another room, and I would like to do that, and Bob does not want to do that, so.
You've got to consider where we're looking to do that. In the older part of the house, the accessibility to water and what we'd have to do to that part of the house to do this, to construct the bathroom. And I just foresee the amount of expense that we're going to have to put in that. It would take us quite a few years before we would make it back with the income for that one particular room to do it.
I see. Okay. Got it.
So
That's
right
just-
now we use it as an overflow room, where if we have families or something that they need a little extra space and they don't mind sharing a bathroom, then we kind of use it as overflow room, and if they're willing to share the bath, then we'll use that.
Oh, so it's really functional. It's just a matter of whether you're going to put another bath, because that appears to be like an American bed and breakfast requirement is
Yes.
to have a bathroom.
A private bathroom.
Yeah, private. Because in
bathroom.
Europe, there's a
Right.
lot of rooms where you can share the bath, but
Right,
then
yeah.
in the U.S., it's pretty much.
Oh yeah, no, you got to have private bathrooms or people wouldn't come.
I see, I see. But in a case like this, where it's a family and they just need an auxiliary room.
For a teenage son, they don't want in their room with them or something. You know, we would just give them this little room, and they would be. It's part of the garden room, actually. It's
I
just a
see.
separate little area that they could stay in.
Okay, I see. It expands the garden
Right.
room. And it's called the garden room because it has the view of the garden?
No, it's just Grandma's garden.
Oh, grass, of
It's
course.
after
yeah, that's what I
Grandma.
said,
Grandma
yes.
loved gardens.
Oh, okay, very
The
nice.
overflow room is Grandma's grotto, so.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. Okay.
There you go.
That's great. That's great. I think it's wonderful that you've named it after the women who've inspired you and that you love. And now, are your children involved in the process as well, or
No.
No, oh, not at all. It's your project.
No, it's
yeah.
actually, we were joking about that the other day. We were talking about our wills and how we were going to leave it to them so they could all be innkeepers, and every single one of them said, "Oh no, you're not." Oh no. I mean, they're very supportive of us, and they love the house, and they love what we're doing, but they are not interested in taking it over at all.
In one particular case, they said we couldn't get up that early to serve breakfast. I said, then make it a bed and brunch.
Oh, there you go. Which actually most people get up later anyway, right? Or is it
We
all
serve
of
at
it?
9. 9's the typical time.
Okay,
You know, it gives
I
people a
see.
little extra time in the morning, but not
We're flexible if
Yeah,
needed,
yeah.
but that's our target time.
9
for
tends to
breakfast.
work for most people.
I see, I see. Yes, you give a parameter instead of having breakfast at 11 o'clock,
Right.
and you can't control any part of your day.
Right.
Now, when you have guests, do you have to stay at the house all the time, or
No.
you have the flexibility to be
No.
able to leave?
We can leave, yeah.
Okay.
We have a key code in the door, and they know the code. Each room
Okay.
has a different code that they can get in and out by themselves. So once we show them the house and where everything is, and you know, we tell them if we're leaving, and we always forward the house phone to our cell phone so they can always call us if something should happen or they need us.
Okay.
And then we go.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So you really thought of all the different ways to give them access and flexibility without tying you down
Right.
at the location. Yeah. So in terms of location, are you happy with where you selected? I mean, it sounds like you said you get a lot of different guests from wine country, people going through the wine country and stuff. Do you feel like you've made the right selection there?
Just because of the house. The house was the selling point. We found the house, we just thought this was the house we were going to do this. Not to offend Bloomfield, but we looked at Bloomfield and thought, a bed and breakfast in Bloomfield, can we get people to come here? But through the internet, through marketing, it's worked phenomenally. So
So it's great for the town, because then you've attracted visitors to the town who probably wouldn't go otherwise.
Right.
So
Right.
that's-
we've had guests from Europe. We've had dozens of guests from Europe. We have a map in the dining room with pins from where our guests have come from. And from Rochester to Buffalo in the Toronto area, we no longer put pins there because there are too many to begin with. But from Florida to California to Washington, we've had South America, Mexico, China, and like I said, 2 or 3 dozen people from Europe. So
Very nice. Oh, that's wonderful.
almost 5 years, not quite.
So it seems as though without the internet, it would have been difficult to find. These days it's just the availability of social media, the internet. It's just easier to pinpoint and find a place where you might want to enjoy and stay. So that's great. So the advent of the internet comes at a time that is great in your life, because then you can
That's right.
capitalize on it and use it for marketing your bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
That's great. Anything else that you'd like to share to our viewers about bed and breakfasts? It sounds like you feel like you've made the right decision, and it's a good thing.
Many of our guests come, as we did before we got in the business, and went to many B&Bs and kind of scouted them out, seeing what they were like. And it's amazing the number of our guests who have said, we've always wanted to do this. Tell us about this. We'd like to do this too. And they don't realize, as Linda said, the amount of work involved. Really, it's, up front, it looks glamorous, but behind the scenes, a lot more is going on. And they also look at maybe the fee for the room, saying, wow, you must make a lot of money. Well, you got to consider there's an awful lot of expense there too.
Sure.
A lot of expense they don't realize.
Right. Insurance, utilities, those
Insurance,
things. That's right.
taxes,
Sure, of course. Yeah.
like everyone else has.
Right.
Plus you're putting food on the table and
Sure.
cleaning.
Well, thank you very much. This has been an enjoyable program having both of you
Thank you.
Thank
on the
you.
show. Best wishes to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you, our viewers, for joining us today. And it's about money. Our guests again are Bob and Linda Dobberstein, and we are talking about their Abner Adams House Bed and Breakfast in Bloomfield, New York. Thank you, and until next time, I'm Nannette Nocon.
Thanks for tuning in to today's show. If you have any questions for It's About Money, please email Nannette at nnocon@aol.com. This program was produced through Penfield Community Television in Penfield, New York.